Hello, welcome to the May Moan. I'm Terry Abbott and, well, we're going to talk about the May election, which was not so good. We're going to be talking about Dominic Cummings and COVID. Yep, it's the usual thing. This is May. Let's get on with the May Moan. May's local elections were a disaster for Labour, as was the by-election in Hartlepool, which they lost. The red wall crumbles a bit more. Most of the votes for the Conservatives seem to come from the Brexit Party, that had disintegrated completely. A lot of the votes that Labour had just drifted away, didn't vote, stayed at home. Sometimes by-elections people just can't be asked, and other times they want to make a statement to the party they normally vote for. We'll see what happens. I mean, you know, it's going to be a while before the next general election. We have got a by-election coming at Batley and Spen, which the Labour are already going, oh, we're going to lose. Because, you know, hey, nobody has any trust in Keir Starmer. He's got no charisma. I mean, he might be a good lawyer. And he's decent at the dispatch box. Better than Jeremy Corbyn was at the dispatch box. But your problem is you're still against a conceited liar on the other side, in Boris Johnson. He just lies his ass off and doesn't answer questions. So, really, you need somebody who's out and about. Jeremy did. But, of course, nobody liked him because of what the press did to him. And his background was easy to pick holes in. So, yeah, it was going to work. So I voted for Lisa Nandy. I thought she had a better chance. I thought there was more fire in her belly. And she had some pretty good attributes in the fact that, one, she was a woman and had been the first woman leader for the Labour Party. Because, yeah, we haven't had a woman leader yet. And it was supposed to be the Progressive Party and the Conservative had two. But she would have also been the first leader from an ethnic minority, which would have been an interesting thing. I just think Keir Starmer just hasn't got it. He just doesn't have the charisma. Mouldy cabbage. Cursed image. But, yeah, I just don't see him being leader much longer, especially if we lose Batley and Spen. And it might be having to do what the Tories did. You see, the Tories are ruthless when it comes to getting rid of a leader. The Tories are absolutely ruthless. When they had a leader who was going to completely cost them everything, Ian Duncan Smith, remember him? The quiet man. Yeah, they got rid of him. They fucking just, woof, out he went. Because they knew damn well he wasn't going to win them anything. Labour's got to do the same. If Keir Starmer is in power and we lose Batley and Spen, then go on. It comes to something in a local election where the Conservatives can win, say on the vaccine bounce has helped them, but still people forget that the Tories, through incompetence, have caused over 128,000 deaths from COVID. A lot less could have happened if we closed the borders and actually be more proactive. But we sort of sat on our hands. Dominic Cummings is putting out some of that stuff. Been interesting to follow. But yeah, it was a bad election day. At least we got Sadiq Khan back in London, even though it was a bit squeaky bum time. And we got Andy Burnham back in Manchester, and he rocked it because, you know, Andy Burnham is fucking good. There's a man with a bit of charisma and a bit of get up and go and a bit of fire in his belly. Hell, you know, he could have been leader. He got beat by Jeremy Corbyn. Let's see what happens next. That's the question. What will happen next? Labour's doing well in Wales, but Scotland is a lost cause. And with Scotland and Northern Ireland, especially now that the DUP have basically voted an absolute nutball in as their leader, so that's going to alienate a lot of people, I can see both Northern Ireland and Scotland leaving the UK before the end of the decade. We could be in the last decade of the United Kingdom. It's a scary thought. Because if Scotland goes, it will be a Conservative government forever for England. Fuck, I want out. I'd move to Scotland if I had my chance. If Labour keeps losing, then Keir has to go, and we have to put somebody else there. Be ruthless. The opposition are. You've got to do the same. Last week, Bedford, Blackburn with Darwen, Bolton, Burnley, Kirklees, Leicester, Hounslow and North Tyneside found themselves on a rather unfortunate list. The government were saying, hey, restrict your travel, boys. It's not good. They've backed down a bit since the end of the government because it was they saying you were putting a lockdown through the back door into these areas. These are the areas where the Indian variant is going rife. It's basically, it is going to overtake, it has overtaken, I think now, the Kent variant as the most dominant strain of COVID. It's highly infectious, far more infectious than the Kent strain, and is very freaking virulent. As I say, lots of people catching it. It's going through the young because the young haven't been vaccinated. Hey guys, you know, this is a problem. You've got people, the old people, yeah, they're vaccinated, and that's a good thing because there's less likelihood of people dying, because it is the old who predominantly die from COVID. So, yeah, they're protected. They're less likely to die. They're not totally out the woods, mind you. I mean, they can still snuff it. It's not totally 100%, but it's a lot less likely you are going to. So that's why the cases of death are quite low. But the cases are rising again now of COVID. We've had a long few weeks of cases going down and down and down and down and down, and now they're spiking back up. And the R number has gone above 1. The vaunted R number. COVID is on the rise again, and the problem you have is, as I say, you've still got a swathe of the population, mainly young people, who are not vaccinated. You can still give it to people. You can still catch it even if you're vaccinated, but you will have a lot lower symptoms and probably just shake it off like it was a cold. That is the beauty of the vaccine, but it really, we really need to get a handle on this. And I think at the moment, the lockdown easing that's supposed to happen on the 21st of June should be postponed. I mean, this really narks me off when I see the screaming in the press and on TV saying, oh, 21st of June, oh. Can I just put this bluntly? These numbers were picked out the fucking air by Boris Johnson, and they were the best possible outcome. Well, I'm afraid something has snookered it. It's called the Indian variant. Because, hey, Boris didn't shut the fucking borders. It's in, and it's spreading. The worst thing you can possibly do is unlock on the 21st of June and just let it run. Because if you do that, we'll be back in a bloody lockdown by autumn because there'll be so many cases of it. Your best bet is to keep the restrictions in until a bit later. You've unlocked some of the stuff, but let's just hang on a little bit longer, get to grips with this Indian variant, get everybody vaccinated. Then you can look at unlocking. It may be a couple months later, but it's not going to be a great deal of difference. And I'll tell you that the fact of the matter is, if you rush to unlock, you might as well just get ready to be closing the country down again, because we will have so many people ill with COVID by that point. 21st of June is not a fucking set in stone holy grail moment. It was never meant to be. Neither was the 17th of May. These dates were there as the best possible. Through April, it was the best possible. By the time we got to May, we were already seeing the Indian variant start to take hold, and we still went along with unlocking even more. Now the R rate is above 1. That is a worry. You have to understand. And you started following the fucking science through bloody months and months and months and saying that R rate went above 1. You stop fucking unlocking because, hey guys, it's spreading. The R rate means, if it goes R rate 1 or above, it means the actual virus is not on the retreat. It is spreading in the populace. Unlocking will just make things 10 times worse than where we are now. And the problem with allowing a virus to go off and infect loads of people, you may think, well, if I'm vaccinated, might get a mild version of it. That's not too bad. Yeah, but the problem I'm talking about is you can allow this virus to keep on being passed on, and it will change. It will mutate. You get another variant. And what if the virus mutates into something that the vaccines cannot protect you against? What then? Bang! It's in the care homes. Bang! More people dead. A more virulent, a more infectious, a more deadly version. This could happen by simply allowing it to mutate, by allowing it to continuously infect people. Every time it replicates inside the person's body, it has slight variations, and those slight variations could end up with a mutation being one that we cannot handle with the vaccines. That is the problem. If we get one that cannot be handled by the vaccines, we are screwed. We are back to stage 1 again. And it would be our own fault. Couple more months. Take it easy. Play it safe. And we will have a good autumn. Unlock now. Just go, oh yeah, well, it's all going to be unlocked. Everything's fine. To try and get cheap fucking votes. And, well, hell will come back. And you'll be locking the country down again before you know where we are. And we may have another Christmas that's been lost to COVID. And that will be through sheer bloody incompetence. Then again, wasn't last year's? Spain might actually go onto the green list on the 7th of June. Don't bother with Germany or France because they won't let you in. we've got Indian variant running riot in this country. And by the way, cases are going up, which is not good. Okay, so there is a green list anyway of countries you can go to at the moment. So let's have a look at these countries. Now, where can you go? Now, so let's start with somewhere really out the way. You know, when I go as far away from humans as possible, South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands. There you are, there's no fucker there. That's great. But you have to go by the Falkland Islands, of course. So if you're going to the Falkland Islands, you'll need to have a test, a PCR test, be negative, of course. And then you'll have to isolate for 14 days when you get there. But you won't be able to go there because you're a fucking tourist. And they won't let you in. So South Sandwich Islands and South Georgia and the Falkland Islands are all completely out of the question because, hey, you're a tourist, you can't go there. So let's have a look at these others on the green list. Australia, well, forget that because they ain't going to let you in. They don't want any tourists. New Zealand, exactly the same again. No thanks, don't want you. Brunei, same. No, can't go in there. Faroe Islands, again, not accepting tourists. And Singapore, also not accepting tourists. So don't bother with them, they're gone as well. Oh, we really are not doing too well here, are we? So let's go for St. Helena and the Ascension Islands and Tristan da Cunha. Well, all of them will have a negative test, of course, from PCR and a 14-day isolation when you get there. Tristan da Cunha is the remotest inhabited place on Earth. It's in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's a volcano with 220 people living at the bottom of it in a place called Edinburgh by the Seven Seas. Really? You can't even get there by plane. It's a boat trip that takes fucking ages. Why the fuck would you want to go there? There's nothing to see apart from a big volcano. Well, you said get away from the whole place, I suppose. You don't worry about being bothered too much. It is out of the way. Ascension Islands is quite nice. But again, it's the 14 days. You have to isolate before you can go anywhere. So really, holiday-wise, not going to happen. So, well, we got now to Israel. You can go to Israel as long as you have had both jabs. If you haven't, don't bother. But again, Israel, would you really want to go to Israel at the moment? It's a bit dodgy over there. I wouldn't want to go anywhere near there. Might get a freaking rocket on my head. No thanks. Portugal, well, recent negative test. PCR, of course. Or you've recovered from the virus, or you have both jabs. All of them will get you into Portugal. Portugal is on the green list, and Portugal is a place where people are visiting. And in fact, there are several thousand fans there for the Champions League final, which is between Man City and Chelsea. Two English teams playing in the final in the European Cup. Yeah. Iceland, same as Portugal for going there. Recent negative test, recovered from the virus or both jabs. So the last place on the list is Gibraltar. Lateral flow test only required. As long as it's negative, you're on your way to Gibraltar. So you can go see the monkeys. The green list is a farce. Out of all of the places there that doesn't need you to quarantine when you come back, several need you to quarantine when you get there, and only 4 of them don't. So the fact of the matter is, don't bother. Your best bet this year, stay at home. Stay in the UK. But just don't go to Blackburn or Burnley or Preston or places where the Indian variant is rampant. Because, hey, cases are going up. Last May, it was Barnard Castle. Last May, it was the Rose Garden. And we were all saying, sack Dominic Cummings. Well, Dominic Cummings was eventually sacked. But not because of what he did, but what he didn't get on with. And that was Carrie Symonds. Carrie Symonds he's, well, not a particularly nice person as far as I can tell from everything that we've heard so far of her. Yeah, she sounds like a right one when it comes to things, but then again, when you do sleep with a man whose wife is in hospital being treated for cancer, you are a pretty despicable piece of shit, aren't you? Just like the person she's shacked up with. Yes, Boris fucking Johnson. Boris Johnson, who is completely unsuitable to be Prime Minister, according to Dominic Cummings. Yes, Dominic Cummings has turned on Boris, and he's putting the boot in left, right and centre. Basically, Boris Johnson wasn't bothered about COVID at the beginning. He said it was a scare story. He wanted Chris Whitty to pump him full of COVID on TV to prove that it wasn't harmful. That's before he got it naturally and nearly died. Yeah, Boris, it was pretty bad. But Matt Hancock has got it right in the fucking kisser from Dominic Cummings, and he's been laying it out on the line in a several hours of testimony. And wow. I mean, this is one of those times when you look at a political story and go, holy fuck. Now the question, of course, you ask is, do you believe Dominic Cummings? Well, normally I would not believe Dominic Cummings, but in this case, what he was saying rings a whole lot more truthful than what comes out from the government. Matt Hancock went out to try and protect himself, and when checked, he wasn't exactly being that truthful. People in care homes who saw this firsthand definitely said he wasn't being truthful. 30,000 people died in care homes through COVID. People were released from hospital to the care homes without being tested because there wasn't the testing in place. It took ages for Matt Hancock to work out what to do, and he didn't even implement it properly. All he was worried about was the numbers and would it make him look good, not in actually protecting people. You wanted to put a protective ring around the care homes. You didn't. You had sent loads and loads of people back. Basically, the equivalent of firing a diseased body over the ramparts of a castle. You sent people back to the care homes to open up beds in the NHS for COVID patients, not realising that a lot of these old people had already contracted the disease, going back to care homes where there was not sufficient PPE, and infecting the other residents. 30,000 people died because of that. 30,000 on your watch. And you sit there in the House of Commons and basically lied. I'm afraid to say Dominic Cummings' testimony was pretty truthful in most respects. And it proved that this government is wholly incapable of dealing with this pandemic. They were incompetent at the beginning. They allowed the virus to take hold in this country. Holy hell, we had notice it was coming. It wasn't as if we were just caught off guard by it. We had a couple months notice it was coming. China, massive amounts of people coming down and dying. Oh look, it's in bloody Italy. Oh look, it's in France. Oh shit, it's here. Whoa, lots of people dying. What are we going to do? Why did you close the fucking borders beforehand? New Zealand, Australia, places like that, they closed the fucking borders. Put in strict measures. We left it fucking wide open. You can walk through Heathrow straight onto the fucking tube into London and infect God knows how many fucking people. Congratulations, that's a really good idea, isn't it? Just infect the whole fucking country. Oh, we've got herd immunity being talked about as well, not realising it was complete and utter bollocks. Herd immunity wouldn't work. This fucking virus can mutate! Variants. The problem is, of course, if you caught COVID early on and you caught it in the early first version of it, you're not protected against the later variants. Wonderful. We're looking at the vaccine to be the only way out. The only way we can get this country out of the situation we're in, because we've allowed the virus to go rampant. And now we have the Indian variant here, which was also allowed in by incompetence by the government by not fucking closing the borders to piss in India. We want a trade deal with India. Oh, we can't close the borders. That wouldn't look good. Well, fuck off, because it's gone into this country now. Congratulations on being a complete fucking waste of space. Yeah, Matt Hancock lied his ass off. Matt Hancock should have been sacked. He's incompetent. Well, he's either incompetent or he's an evil, psychotic bastard. Whichever one you want. Pretty much like his boss. Dominic Cummings' testimony was devastating and has caused severe damage to the government. For once, as I say, I believe him, which is unusual and a bit scary. But his testimony sounded truthful. Okay, slight addition to this section. Boris Johnson got married. Yes, Boris and Carrie Simmons got married at the weekend after I did the recording of this segment. So yeah, she's now Carrie Johnson. Still doesn't mean anything. She was still his mistress, and it is unusual actually for a guy to marry his mistress. Usually they dump them and find somebody else. But Carrie, darling, he cheated on his wife when she had cancer. What's to say he won't end up cheating on you? Just saying. Do you feel that secure with him? And that's it for another moan. If you like what I do, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. We'll be back with another video in the near future, but until then, stay safe and bye bye.